You've built the three-fund portfolio. Total market, international, bonds. It's clean, it's diversified. Historically, it works. But here's the thing. You're sitting there watching AI reshape every industry on the planet. You're watching memory chips literally sell out for the entire calendar year. You're watching SpaceX just complete the biggest IPO in history, $75 billion raised, $2 trillion market cap day one. And your three-fund portfolio, it barely touches any of that early-stage upside. So the question becomes, do you add something? And if you do, what? That's exactly what we're getting into today. Before I name a single sector, let me give you the framework, because this is where most people make the mistake. The three-fund portfolio is your core. It should stay the majority of what you own. Think 80 to 85% of your total investable assets. The sectors we're about to discuss, those are satellite positions, small, deliberate, maybe 15 to 20% of your total, not the other way around. Here's the reality check. If a satellite position goes to zero, it stings, but the portfolio survives. If your core implodes, your financial future goes with it. So yes, these sectors can produce serious upside, but they're called high risk because the downside is just as real. Now let's talk sectors. Sector 1, quantum computing. And look, I know the first instinct is to dismiss this as science fiction. It's not. In May 2026, the US Department of Commerce committed roughly $2 billion in funding to quantum computing companies under the CHIPS and Science Act. IBM landed the largest single award, $1 billion, for its quantum foundry program. D-Wave, Rigetti, and Inflation each received around $100 million. The government also took minority equity stakes in each as a condition of funding. That's industrial policy, the same playbook the government used for domestic semiconductor manufacturing. When the federal government starts taking equity stakes in a technology sector, you pay attention. The market numbers back this up. The enterprise quantum computing market is projected to hit $6.3 billion in 2026, up 31% from the year before, and Bain & Company puts the total maximum market potential at $250 billion across industries. The standout publicly traded pure play right now is IonQ. They became the first quantum company in history to cross $100 million in annual GAAP revenue, hitting $130 million in 2025, up 202% year over year. Their 2026 guidance is $225 to $245 million after a 77% revenue jump in Q1 alone. They're also deploying a 256-qubit system by end of year and recently signed a $100 million government LOI. One potential drawback: IonQ trades near 100 times sales. These are not cheap businesses. They're priced on a future that hasn't fully arrived yet. If you want lower risk exposure, IBM and Alphabet carry quantum programs inside profitable companies. Less upside, far less volatility. No strategy is perfect. Size this one for a potential 50% drawdown and treat it as a multi-year thesis. Sector 2, AI memory. Number 2 is AI memory. This one doesn't get enough credit. Here's what most people don't realize. Every AI model that gets trained, every prompt you send a chatbot, every inference running in a data center right now, it all runs on memory. Specifically, high bandwidth memory, HBM. And right now, HBM is completely sold out through 2026 across every major supplier. Bank of America is calling this a super cycle similar to the 1990s, forecasting global DRAM revenue to surge 51% in 2026 alone. NAND flash memory average selling prices are expected to be up more than 250% in Q3 and Q4 of 2026 compared to the same period last year, according to Gartner. The global memory market could exceed $440 billion this year. The three names to know are SK Hynix, Micron Technology, and Samsung Electronics. SK Hynix currently holds a dominant 56 to 62% share of HBM market, and NVIDIA has allocated the majority of its HBM4 supply to them. Micron has been the surprise of 2026, actually overtaking Samsung on certain HBM4 allocations. HBM4 is now entering mass production. The total HBM market is projected to grow from $35 billion in 2025 to $100 billion by 2028, a 40% compound annual growth rate in what has historically been a commodity business. That's the AI effect. Sector 3 is crypto. And I want to be honest with you here, because the picture today is more complicated than most people show you. Bitcoin hit an all-time high of approximately $128,000 in October 2025. As of this video, it's trading around $62,000 to $63,000. That's a roughly 50% drawdown from the top. Now, that could either scare you or interest you, depending on your time horizon. The longer-term structural case is real. Spot Bitcoin ETFs now hold more than $80 billion in assets. Over 172 publicly traded companies hold Bitcoin on their balance sheets. Stablecoin legislation has become law in the US. The regulatory picture is genuinely clearer than it's ever been. But I won't pretend the short term is pretty. Bitcoin has closed a full week below its 200-week moving average for the first time since 2023. That's a level that's historically only appeared during the worst stretches of past bear markets. This is the most speculative item on this entire list. If 5% in crypto would keep you up at night, 2% is probably the right number. If 2% would keep you up at night, the right number might be 0. That's not a cop-out, that's just honest position sizing. Sector 4. AI infrastructure, the picks and shovels play. Number 4 is where I'm personally most interested. AI infrastructure, the picks and shovels play. Here's the problem with how most people think about AI investing. Everyone wants to own the model companies, the ChatGPTs and Claudes, but none of that works without somewhere to run it. AI models need power, data centers, GPU clusters, cooling, and networking. Right now, the infrastructure layer is the actual bottleneck. This is where it gets really interesting. Nebius Group Nasdaq NBIS just signed a 5-year, $27 billion deal with Meta, structured around one of the first large-scale deployments of NVIDIA's Vera Rubin platform. In March 2026, NVIDIA also made a $2 billion equity investment directly into Nebius as part of a broader AI infrastructure partnership. The company is targeting $7 to $9 billion in annualized revenue by the end of 2026, implying potential growth of 500% or more year over year. IREN, Nasdaq IREN, formerly Iris Energy, secured a $9.7 billion 5-year contract with Microsoft's GPU cloud services in November 2025. That deal is projected to generate approximately $1.94 billion in annual recurring revenue at 85% EBITDA margins once fully deployed. They've also signed a direct NVIDIA cloud services contract and have 1.4 gigawatts of data center capacity either operational or under development in West Texas. Applied Digital Nasdaq APDL is another one, less a cloud software play and more a power and campus execution story, benefiting directly from hyperscaler demand for data center space and compute capacity. The key distinction with all of these, they're not betting on AI succeeding. AI is already winning, and they're already collecting rent from it. Sector 5. Space. Specifically, SpaceX. Number 5 is the one I get asked about almost daily, SpaceX. Here's the big update, because this changed completely since I last covered it. SpaceX went public on June 12, 2026. Ticker is SPCX on Nasdaq, priced at $135 per share, opened at $150, peaked at $176 intraday, and closed day 1 around $161. The company's market cap crossed $2 trillion on debut. It raised $75 billion, the largest IPO in history. As of this video, the stock is trading near its IPO price of around $135 after a volatile first month. It was just added to the Nasdaq 100, which means your QQQM or QQQ now has some SpaceX exposure automatically. What's the business? Starlink is the engine.
In 2025, it generated $11.4 billion in revenue, up 50% year-over-year, and represented 61% of total SpaceX revenue. Total company revenue was $18.7 billion in 2025. SpaceX also completed its acquisition of xAI, Musk's AI company, earlier this year, making AI infrastructure a third major segment of the business. One potential drawback: the company posted a net GAAP loss of nearly $5 billion in 2025 despite strong revenue, as it continues to invest heavily in Starship, orbital data centers, and next-generation Starlink satellites. At a $2 trillion valuation, you're paying a significant premium on future optionality. New Street Research initiated coverage with a $165 price target, but other analysts have raised concerns about governance disclosures in the IPO prospectus. For the first time, though, you can just buy it directly.
Sector 6. Income, dividends for a different investor. The first 5 sectors are all growth-oriented, higher risk, higher potential upside. But number 6 is for a completely different type of investor. If what you actually want isn't growth, it's passive income, a consistent cash flow stream, dividends that hit your account without you doing anything, you can build that with significantly less capital than most people think. The common assumption is that you need $1 million, maybe $2 million to live off dividend income. That math is wrong. With the right structure and the right yield targets, you can build a meaningful income portfolio starting at $300,000 to $500,000. The strategy is different. You're not chasing growth, you're optimizing for consistency and yield. And that is a completely legitimate, often underrated approach, especially if you're within 10 years of wanting to live off your investments. So where does this leave you? The 3-fund portfolio stays the core, untouched, 80 to 85% of the portfolio doing exactly what it was designed to do. The satellite layer, 15 to 20% total, is where you make a deliberate choice based on your timeline, risk tolerance, and conviction. If I had to pick the ones with the clearest near-term fundamentals right now, AI infrastructure has live contracts and hyperscaler revenue already flowing. Memory is a documented supply shortage with pricing power. Quantum has government backing and IonQ crossing revenue milestones. SpaceX is now publicly available for the first time. Pick one or two, size them small, rebalance on milestones, not headlines. Historically, the investors who build real long-term wealth are the ones who combine a disciplined core with a few well-reasoned, well-sized satellite bets, not the ones who went all in on the hottest thing of the moment. No strategy is a guarantee. Every one of these sectors can go significantly against you. But if you do this right, core stable, satellite small, you've built something that gives you both protection and upside. If this video helped, hit subscribe and drop a comment below on which of these sectors you're most interested in exploring. I read every one of them, and it helps me figure out what to cover next. I'll see you in the next one.